Hello, hope you're having a great day. It's fair to say that over the last few days, I have been utterly flopping. Now, for the first time in, well, hundreds of days, I've got to a situation where I haven't been putting a video out every single day, which was, the intention of this channel. I'm supposed to be making these videos every day because they help me massively, to analyze what's going on in my head. They help me stay on track with my health and my fitness, and ultimately staying free from drink and drugs. There has been a couple of times where, I haven't put a video out that day, but then I've put it out early the next day and then put another one out that day. So, there has been one video a day for, I'm pretty sure it's hundreds of days, apart from the last few days. Now, today is Sunday, and yesterday I put a post out on the community tab of YouTube explaining that I'm in a little bit of a hole, and then I put a video out yesterday which was supposed to go out on Friday, and I may have not put a video out since Thursday before that, so I've kind of missed one day, but I have utterly been flopping. I've got myself into a situation where for the last few days I haven't been for a walk around the block. For the last few days, apart from, I can't remember exactly, but apart from one day, in the last few days, I haven't written in my journal, haven't meditated. I've mentioned in the recent videos that, due to my shoulder injury and due to the fact that I've been really busy trying to get my favourite car ready for this event on Friday, just gone, which I failed to do, by the way. For various reasons, I've just been flopping with everything. And some of it you could say is justified, yeah? If I've got an injured shoulder, then maybe it is justified to rest in terms of gym and boxing. If I'm busy working on my car and, really struggling to get a car ready for an event, then maybe you can be forgiven for not doing, a full morning routine, etc., etc. But as is usually the case, it just seems like with me, I'm either bang on everything and, struggling to get everything in. It is a struggle getting up every morning and banging out my morning routine before I then jump on to doing my work and, doing whatever I need to on my MacBook here and then getting around to the garage to film. My life is hectic. When you sort of look at it, you could say, well, maybe I'd have more time to do my work if it wasn't for my morning routine, right? Yeah, in an ideal world. But in the grand scheme of things, I have to do everything. Otherwise, I'm at risk of doing nothing. And, it normally creeps up on me and it's very subtle. Very slowly but surely I start dropping things. And it's like a vicious cycle, a vicious spiral, you could say. In the same way that when you're sort of doing everything you need to and you're on the way up, it's a positive spiral, right? And, that's definitely what's happened this time. And look, life has ups and downs. There will be times where I flop. There will be times where I have to keep picking myself back up, and that's fine. I totally accept that. But what I won't do nowadays is just see it as just that. Oh, having a bit of a flop, forget about it, move on. And it's like, no. When you sort of forget about things and don't acknowledge what happened and don't analyse what happened and don't see what happened for what it was, then you're not going to learn from it. In the same way that, for years and years and years and years, I would go out, get on loads of drugs, wake up the next day, regret it, and then, because I'm so embarrassed or so ashamed of what I've done, my whole thing is just like, oh, I can't wait until, I've forgotten about that, you know what I mean? So the whole sort of aim is to forget about it. But then, when you forget about it, you don't learn from it, do you? You're just sort of brushing it aside, and then lo and behold, you'll find yourself in the same situation again. But, you haven't learned from the past experience. So nowadays, I like to literally dissect what has happened whenever I do have these times where I've flopped, right? Now, I'm grateful that today's flops, even though when I'm in the moment, they're sort of distressing and they feel like, they kind of feel like a hole that I can't get out of, even though I know, luckily, that these things pass. I'm lucky that I'm one of them people that I do know in that moment that it will pass. Even though my mind is trying to, overcome me with negativity and make me feel like it's the be all and end all, like there's no way out. There's always that little part of me, built up from experience in life. There's always that little bit part of me in the background that knows, yes, this will pass, and yes, you must get back on track eventually, right? So, I like to, just dissect what happens whenever I have a bit of a flop, and I'd advise anyone out there to do that, because that's how you learn, and that's how you move on, and that's how you sort of understand what happened, and then maybe the next time you have a bit of a flop, or you're in a down time, or you're depressed or down or whatever, or things aren't going your own way, you've got that knowledge somewhere in you. Like, it might be in the very background of your mind, but you've got that knowledge that, yeah, this will pass. I've been here before, and I always do make it through. So, what happened sort of the middle of the week, as I mentioned on the videos previously on this channel, I've got this shoulder injury, which is kind of encouraging me to have a rest from the gym, which, in itself isn't a bad thing, right? But that sets me on a path of being okay with flopping, right? Now, I mentioned in a video a few days ago, a lot of what I needed to do in terms of the other 2 gym sessions that I had left this week, because I'd already done my leg session, a lot of what I had left, back and shoulders, right? So I sort of kind of decided to rule out the shoulders, which is fine. I've got a shoulder injury, but then I sort of persuaded myself that, yeah, doing the pull-ups for my back and stuff and doing everything else is going to strain my shoulder, when it probably wouldn't have done. And even if the pull-ups did, even if I could only go in there and do like the diverging seated row, even just go in there, do my warm-up and do one exercise, or maybe do that and then go and bang out some other machine that I never go on, like just to make it worthwhile going. Like, that still would have been better than not going to the gym at all. But, my mind is easily able to persuade me in these situations, it's not worth going to the gym. If you're not doing your full workout, it's not worth going, which is wrong. Right? It's just my mind trying to keep me on a path of flopping, keep me on that negative spiral, which eventually will end up with me in the gutter, but doesn't nowadays, thankfully. So yeah, I've kind of allowed my mind to persuade me to flop the gym completely, right? Well, then, it's not much further down that spiral for me to flop my workouts in the morning. Or, when the morning comes, when I'm already trying to battle my lazy mind that I have every morning, it's then easier for my mind to persuade me to flop my workout here at home. Now, because I was also struggling to get my car ready for this event on Friday, I've then got my mind telling me that I don't have time to do my morning routine, etc. So, I'm too injured and I don't have enough time, to be doing my morning routine, to be doing my workouts, etc. And it just turns out that I'm not going for my walk around the block, and I'm not coming back here, and I'm not writing in my journal, I'm not meditating, I'm then not working out, I'm then not having a cold shower. So, in a very short space of time, I've gone from, being bang on it and understanding that I need to do everything every day, as much as I can, to a stage where I'm doing nothing. And then I get to the point where I'm not even having my egg on toast breakfast. I'm getting up and I'm just having cheese on toast. Now, I mentioned in a video recently how when I dropped Kat off to work and came back, and my mind basically persuaded me to go back to bed, because I hadn't had a lot of sleep that night because of my painful shoulder, right? Well, maybe I should have took responsibility the night before and had some painkillers so that I could go to sleep. All right, I don't like taking painkillers, but that still would have been maybe a responsible thing, or it's certainly an option that I didn't take up, and it's something I can look at and say, yeah, that's my fault that I didn't get enough sleep because of my injury. Because, I like to go through life looking at things that are my fault, looking at things that I can change, things that I could have done to prevent, me flopping in any way. I don't like to go through life and just assume that, I'm a feather in the wind and whatever happens, happens, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because if you live life like that, well, if you don't believe there's anything you can do about your situation, you're not going to change your situation in any way. So now when I look at it, I can say, yeah, maybe I should have known that flopping the gym completely is a lot worse than, just going to the gym and only doing exercises that are definitely not going to strain my shoulder. I should have identified that part of the reason that I dropped the gym completely is because I've always got this inherently lazy part of me that will always look for the easy way out. And the easy way out, is don't go to the gym at all. And I should have been able to identify, based on past experience, that flopping the gym completely is dangerous in terms of making me eventually end up flopping other things. So, there's a couple of things there that I could have, done, which I didn't do, to make the situation better. So yeah, I got myself into a state where I'm not going to the gym, I'm not doing my morning routine, I'm not having my healthy breakfast, I'm, running in the kitchen and just grabbing snacks, grabbing cheese on toast, grabbing, biscuits or whatever, So yeah, got like spiraling, into a very different lifestyle than the one that I want to live, that I sort of struggle to live. Yeah. And then, with regards to me struggling to get my car on the road, I'm not going to explain exactly what happened. That's in my latest video on the other channel. But I was basically banging my head against a brick wall, like really struggling to get my car on the road, taking it apart, putting it back together multiple times, which is fine. That's my life. Like, I like working on my cars. That's part of it. It's part of, having the other channel and, and spending your life working on cars. It's absolutely fine. And to be fair, like a lot of people, it would have broke them like more than it does me. I just sort of take it as it comes and just keep cracking on, even if it does seem like I'm banging my head against the wall. But, adding that to the fact that I'm not doing all the things that I know I need to do to keep my head in the game and to keep me, being the strongest human being that I can, that's another layer to this sort of spiral. So yeah, I just ended up not in a good place, and then on top of that, like with regards to the car, Kat is obviously lending me her car. Some of the days she was dropping me to the garage. There was one day where she dropped me to the garage and then I kind of needed her help with something and she was only sort of halfway home, and it was a case of, well, if this thing that I need you to help me with doesn't work, I need to come home anyway. Like, so then she sort of came back again, and then she missed the gym that day, and then, so it just, made me feel bad because it feels like I'm putting her through this and I'm sort of ruining her life because of the car. So that adds another layer of negativity to the whole situation. And yeah, it just spirals. Like, in a matter of days, like I've gone from, doing everything that I need to just being in a state where I'm doing nothing. Now look, I didn't get to the stage where I was realistically thinking about taking drugs or like harming myself or anything like that. But, in a matter of a short few days, I've gone from being bang on it to just doing nothing, like, and at real risk of just stopping everything. I literally got to the point where I haven't been putting a video out on this channel every day, really contemplating stopping making these videos, stopping going to the gym, like stopping it all, and there were thoughts in my head. I mean, there's thoughts in my head every day about taking drugs. Like, my mind on a daily basis fantasizes about going back to that life where I can just escape from this world by taking drugs. Like, thankfully nowadays, with so many hundreds of days under my belt, must be 450 days, I don't know. Let's have a look, actually. Why not? Kat was actually asking me the other day what the count was, and my battery was dead at the time. 439 days clean. So yeah, at this point, I feel like I'm not at risk of using drugs. Now, Kat is on a night shift next week as well, so that's the time that I used to always let myself down and go and use, even in the times where I wasn't like doing it every day and stuff, even in the times where I'd sort of given up drugs every month when she done her night shift, that she does once a month, I'd be on it. So yeah, even with that, there's no real risk of me actually going to take drugs. My mind is fantasizing about it. There was one time when I was around the garage the other day where I literally stood there for like a minute, just sort of imagining, like, how, I don't want to say how good it would be, like, but my mind was fantasizing about me just ringing my dealer up, because he lives near my garage, and getting him to drop me off a thing. But I feel like I'm not actually at risk of going through with that. But when you're going from sort of up here to down here in terms of doing everything I need to in terms of my health and fitness in a matter of a few days, then maybe if I did dwell in that dark hole for a few more days, then maybe actually going to use drugs again would be a realistic prospect. But I feel like I've never got actually close to doing that, which is good. Like, I'm grateful that my down times now aren't nowhere near as bad as they used to be. In fact, my down times now I see as a way better life than my up times were back in the day. But at the time, it still kind of feels like I'm struggling to get out of this negative hole. I'm seeing that my girlfriend's distressed because she knows that everything's not right. And then I'm kind of feeling bad because I think that I'm ruining her life in terms of her like having to drop me to the garage and stuff and help me with the car and stuff, when in reality she's more bothered about me not being all right than that. We're a team. But it's just layers and layers and layers and layers of negativity that sort of make things seem worse than they are. And, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm grateful that even in that moment, I can see that I will get through it. Like, some people haven't got that. Like, and the reason I am in that position, even in the dark times, the reason I can always have a little thing in the back of my mind, at least, that knows that I will get through it. The reason I've got to that stage is because when I'm not in those dark times, I am working out every day. I am eating healthily. I am analysing my mind. I am writing in my gratitude journal to remind me how wonderful life is, and what I'm grateful for. I am having cold showers and workouts every day to put myself through that little bit of suffering, because then in general, nothing in the world can get me. Like, when my mind's trying to overcome me with negativity, like day to day, it can't get me. Like, how can my mind persuade me that my life isn't awesome when I've forced myself to stand under a freezing cold shower, like, before I've had my breakfast every morning? Like, nothing can touch me. Like, I've already put myself through suffering, like, in the morning. Like, so anything that comes my way can be dealt with. Obviously there's ups and downs in life and there's challenges, but even that, it's like, I see challenges as like a good thing. That's my normal day-to-day life. And then that means that when I do get in these dark holes, like where it kind of feels like my mind is trying to persuade me there's no way out, I can see that I will get through it. But I also sort of try and make sure that I remember that it's not about waiting for myself to get through it. Yeah, because then you can kind of stay in that state for a prolonged period. And the longer you're in there, then the more at risk you are of your mind overcoming you and layering on more and more and more negativity. Like, it's best to pick yourself back up as soon as you can. Like, and even if it's like baby steps, so even if it is, you just make a point of like doing one of the things that you normally do every day when you're, in a good place. Like, if you're living a life like me and you're in that dark hole and your mind is like kind of dreading you getting back on track, like, because in that moment you can't really comprehend like going for a walk around the block and meditating and writing in your journal and working out and having a cold shower. Like, all that is like too much, and you dreading that can like keep you in your hole. Well, maybe you can sort of look at it and be like, do you know what, today I'm just going to pick myself up and I'm going to bang out some push-ups. Or today I'm just going to go and have a cold shower to make myself feel better. Or, I'm just going to go for my walk around the block and see how I get on. One thing at a time. Like, live in the present moment, focus on one thing. Try not to allow your mind to sort of drag you into the future and imagine all these other things that you're going to have to do, because then it's another way that your mind's going to make you dread having to do all these things that you normally do day to day. When you're in a good place, those things, you look at them positively, like, because you understand how good they are for you. But when you're in a dark hole, I find that just contemplating getting fully back on track again can be a reason to not even start getting back on track again. And that kind of happened this morning. Like, yesterday I put a post out on my social media explaining that I'm in a bit of a hole, and explaining that the video I put out yesterday was actually supposed to go out the day before, which was Friday, etc., and just admitting to everyone who like follows my channel that I have been flopping. And today the plan was to get up and get straight back on track, like, fully. Now, I did sit up till about midnight last night, sort of almost finishing editing the latest video on the car channel, apart from an outro that I needed to film, because I needed to explain what happened with the car, because it got to the stage where I wasn't even filming what I was doing on the car once I got to Thursday or whatever. So I just had to conclude that. And yeah, I felt like today I was going to wake up and be fully back on track, but then I woke up this morning and I just couldn't get out of bed. I got up at 7:30, turned my alarm off, and then went back to bed. And Kat was trying to sort of encourage me to get up and whatever, but when I'm in that state, like, I don't blame her for not wanting to sort of nudge me too much, because then it can create conflict between us two. And ultimately, this is my mess, like, that I've created in myself by being a degenerate for so many years. So, I understand that she don't want to nudge me too much, but, she does her best to try and encourage me. But ultimately, in that moment, I just wanted to lay in bed. I actually had to go and pick up a part from someone that I'd bought on eBay today. And we were supposed to leave at 10:30, because I said to the guy I'd be there at 12 noon. And yeah, I think I got out of bed. I think it was 10:15 when I got out of bed, but then, then I had my breakfast and stuff, and I just wasn't with it. But, up until that point, I just wasn't able to get out of bed. Like, I could lay there and I'm thinking to myself, right, today was supposed to be the day that I'm supposed to get back on track. And I'm laying there knowing and thinking, like, clearly that, yeah, I need to get up now and I need to go for my walk. Like, I need to get back on track. It will be good for me. Laying in bed here is not good for me. This is making it worse. I'm doing this to myself, but still couldn't bring myself to get out of bed. Like, that's what it's like, when you just can't pull yourself out of that hole. But I've got to the stage where when I'm in that moment and I feel like I can't pull myself out of the hole, I've still got that thought that I know that if I could just pull myself out of the hole and snap out of that state that I'm in, it would do me good. That's why I say, I'm grateful that even when I am in these holes, and even when I feel like I can't get myself out of the hole in that moment, I'm still able to know within myself that I will pull myself out of the hole because I've done it so many times before, and that pulling myself out of the hole will, make me feel better. Taking that first step to pulling myself out of the hole will make me feel a bit better. So today I ended up getting up, I ended up having my poached egg on toast breakfast, had my vitamins and stuff, and but I didn't go for my walk around the block. By the time I'd got up, my mind then persuaded me I didn't have time to go for a walk around the block because we were supposed to be going to pick this part up, etc. But yeah, I was just sort of laying in bed, unable in a way to pull myself out of bed to go for my walk around the block, even though I knew in that moment that it would do me good. So, where am I at now? Well, I don't want to say that I'm fully through this and I'm fully back on track, because I thought I was, getting back on track yesterday, but then woke up this morning and wasn't able to get myself going. So, it's all about today. I'm feeling that I am getting through it, right? But I acknowledge that I need to try harder. I need to do more. I acknowledge that there's things that I've done over the last few days that haven't helped the situation I'm in now, even though I've got the knowledge that I've got, through experience. And look, even though when you are in these situations, it feels like you can't get out, it feels like you're sort of trapped in a hole and you can't get going. I fully know that it would be possible for me to pull myself out of the hole in those situations. It would have been possible for me to drag myself up this morning. At the time it felt like I couldn't get myself going, but it was possible. If I was stronger, it would have been possible. So I'll always acknowledge, when I could have done better, as well as acknowledging how things could be a lot worse. If I wasn't living this fit and healthy life, if I wasn't turning myself into the strongest human being that I can, my main priority, then I do acknowledge that my dark times would be even worse. And I'm grateful that I'm in the position that I'm in. But I must be honest with myself and acknowledge that, when I am in these dark holes, I could try harder. If I was further along in the progression of turning myself into a stronger human being, day by day, then maybe I'll do better in those dark times. And look, ultimately, I hope and wish that the next dark time that comes, because there's always ups and downs in life, I will do better. But I'm talking to you now, genuinely feeling like I'm coming through it, and fully knowing that I have to get fully back on track and make my physical, mental and spiritual health the main priority in my life for me to continue living a happy life. I've proved to myself, again, probably won't be the last time, that things can really spiral, into a negative spiral in a matter of days. Now today, I should have really gone to my beautiful girlfriend Kat's parents with her to have dinner. We normally do that on a Sunday, but she's had to go on her own because the work that I should have done this morning before we went to collect that part that I bought on eBay, I've had to do this afternoon once we got back from picking that part up. And that basically involves me finishing the video on the other channel. I've still got to do the description and thumbnail and whatnot and the posts and stuff. It's about time that I cracked on with that. But, I wanted to put this video out today on this channel as well. And I want to send a massive thanks out to the few of you that have been in touch, that have noticed that, the videos haven't been coming out every day religiously. But yeah, I'm in a great place. I'm grateful that I'm living this clean and healthy life. I'm grateful that when these dark times come, I see them as I do, and I intend to get myself back on track and focus on making myself into the strongest human being that I can. You know, it's not about me thinking that I'm above these dark times. Not at all. Like, not at all. They will come, and I will overcome them, and I will overcome them in a way better way than I used to, when I was focusing on fun and comfort, and, you know, focusing on, you know, relaxing and living an easy life. Yeah, because that's not what life's about. You know, especially for a man, it's not about trying to avoid dark times. It's about handling dark times and coming out of them stronger than when you went into them. And I believe that is what happens nowadays, but I'll always acknowledge where I could do better, and, you know, I hope that I will continue to do better in the future. So that's it for this video. Just wanted to check in and tell you exactly what had happened over the last few days. I hope I've kind of explained it somewhat. You know, I've just literally pushed record on the camera. I'm sure once I watch this back to edit it, I'll just be thinking of things that I'd forgot to say. But, you know, it's not about that. It's about turning the camera on and telling you where I'm at, and yeah, just explaining what's going on in my head at the time that I'm filming this video. So yeah, I do intend to be back tomorrow for another video, because one thing I do want to do this evening is bang out some sort of workout. So even if it is just me you know, filming that for a video, then so be it. But for now, massive thanks to everyone who's tuned in. I'll be back for another video tomorrow. So yeah, I'll speak to you then.